3 true ice cream truck horror stories. Prepare yourselves, dear listeners, as we delve into 3 chilling tales of ice cream trucks. These stories will haunt your thoughts, making you question the innocent tune of that familiar truck. Turn down the lights and brace yourselves for an unnerving journey into the unknown. Story 1. The Midnight Ice Cream Truck. In a small, quiet town, the arrival of an ice cream truck was always a delight for the children. One summer, an old, rusty ice cream truck began making its rounds at unusual hours, long after the sun had set. The truck's tune was different from the cheerful jingles everyone was used to. It was slow and eerie, sending shivers down the spines of those who heard it. Initially, people thought it was a marketing gimmick, but soon, the children who visited the truck began to change. They became withdrawn, their eyes hollow and dark. Parents grew worried as more children exhibited the same strange behavior. One night, a mother named Claire decided to follow the truck. She watched as it stopped in front of a house, its lights flickering ominously. Claire saw her son approach the truck and hurried to catch up. She noticed the driver was a gaunt man with a sinister smile. When she demanded to know what he had done to her son, the man simply laughed, a sound that chilled her to the bone. Claire grabbed her son and fled, but the truck followed them, its tune growing louder and more menacing. She barricaded herself and her son inside their home, but the haunting tune played outside all night. By morning, the truck was gone, but her son was never the same. The once happy boy was now a shadow of his former self, and Claire knew that the truck would return, seeking more children to feed its dark hunger. Story 2. The Phantom Vendor. Mirrors often reflect more than just our appearance. They can show us things we don't want to see. Jake, a long-haul trucker, knew this better than anyone. One night, while driving through a desolate stretch of highway, he glanced in his rearview mirror and saw a car following him. At first, it seemed normal, but after hours of the car maintaining the exact same distance, Jake grew uneasy. No matter how fast he drove, the car stayed behind him, its headlights a constant reminder of its presence. When Jake stopped at a truck stop to rest, the car pulled into the parking lot, but no one got out. It just sat there, its engine idling. Jake tried to ignore it, but when he awoke in the middle of the night, the car was still there. He decided to confront the driver, but as he approached the car, it sped away, disappearing into the night. Thinking it was over, Jake continued his journey. But every night, the car would reappear, following him. His fellow truckers told him to change his route, but it made no difference. The car always found him. One night, in a fit of frustration, Jake swerved his truck to force the car off the road. He heard the crash but saw nothing in his mirrors. When he stopped to check, there was no sign of the car or any wreckage. From that night on, Jake could feel a presence in his truck, always just out of sight, always watching. Jake's desperation reached its peak as the relentless pursuit by the phantom car continued. He changed his schedule, driving during the day and avoiding the highways, but nothing seemed to work. The car, or whatever it was, found him no matter where he went. One particularly stormy night, Jake's fear turned to anger. He decided to confront the car head-on. Pulling his truck over to the side of a deserted road, he waited for the car to appear. As it drew near, Jake stepped out into the rain, waving his arms and shouting at the car. To his horror, the car's headlights revealed no driver, only an empty seat behind the wheel. The car stopped inches away from him, and as he looked into the darkened windows, he felt an overwhelming sense of dread. The car's engine roared to life, and it sped away, disappearing into the night. Jake returned to his truck, shaken and drenched. From that night on, the car never appeared again. But Jake was left with an unsettling feeling that he had come face to face with something not of this world. The experience left him with a lingering sense of unease, a reminder of the encounter he could never fully explain. Story 3. The Frozen Terror. In the bustling city of Chicago, a young man named Alex began to notice something strange. It started with small things. Items moved slightly out of place, the feeling of being watched. But as the weeks went by, the occurrences became more sinister. He would catch glimpses of movement in the corner of his eye, but when he turned, there was nothing there. One night, while walking home, he felt a cold hand brush against his shoulder. He spun around, but the street was empty. The feeling of being watched grew stronger, and Alex became paranoid. He installed security systems, but they recorded nothing unusual. Yet he could feel the presence, always there, just beyond his sight. Desperate, Alex sought the help of a medium who confirmed his worst fears. He was being followed by a malevolent spirit, one that fed on fear and thrived in the shadows. The medium performed a cleansing ritual, but it only seemed to anger the spirit. That night, Alex awoke to find the spirit standing at the foot of his bed, its eyes glowing with malevolent intent. He screamed, and the spirit vanished, but the attacks grew more frequent and violent. Alex's health deteriorated, and he became a shadow of his former self. In a final act of desperation, he moved to a different city, hoping to escape the invisible follower. But no matter where he went, the spirit was always there, a relentless presence that would never let him go. In his new city, Alex thought he might finally be free of the malevolent spirit. For a few blissful days, he felt a sense of normalcy returning to his life. But the relief was short-lived. The familiar sense of being watched crept back, more intense than ever. One evening, as Alex was walking through a crowded market, he felt a sudden chill. He turned to see the figure standing amidst the throng of people, its eyes glowing with a malevolent intensity. Panic surged through him as he pushed through the crowd, desperate to escape. He sought refuge in a nearby church, hoping the sanctity would provide protection. The priest listened to his story with grave concern and offered to perform an exorcism. During the ritual, the spirit's presence grew stronger, the air thick with malice. Alex felt the spirit's grip tighten around his soul as the priest chanted. With a final, desperate effort, the priest banished the entity, leaving Alex gasping for breath. Though the spirit was gone, Alex was left with a profound sense of vulnerability. He knew that he had narrowly escaped a fate worse than death, and that some scars, though invisible, never truly heal. His experience served as a sobering reminder of the thin veil that separates our world from the unknown. Conclusion. These tales remind us of the fragility of our perception of reality. They blur the line between the known and the unknown, the seen and the unseen. Remember these stories and the chilling truth they reveal as you turn off the lights tonight. Sometimes the things we cannot see are the most terrifying.